Well, hello and welcome. And Mike Gostola is the guest today. And I'm really excited to hear, Mike, all about you and your experience. So thank you for joining.
Yeah,
And
my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
you're welcome. Oh, but the first question I have is, uh, what is MindTrainer Pro? How did you get into this? I know this is one of your biggest passions. I would love to hear. So if you could.
Yeah, for sure. MindTrainer Pro is something that came onto my plate, if you will, about this time last year. Um, I was actually doing a training for another community on how to leverage social media to build their business, and the creator of Mind Trainer happened to be on that call, and we ended up having a creating a connection, and he shared his technology with me, and full transparency, at first I was like, holy, this is like way out there, kind of crazy, and I brushed it off for quite a while. But as I've been an entrepreneur, business builder, kind of doing jack of all trades kind of for my whole life, and I've always involved personal development in my process. So I was, as I continued to do my thing, I did a lot of Joe Dispenza type meditations, and I started to see on TikTok actually binaural beats, and I had never heard of them. I didn't know much about it, and it grabbed my attention of my brain. And that's about that time when Maury and his business partner had reached back out to me and said, "Hey, you just got to have a look at this. We really think you love to. This is a project you'd be great to be involved in." So I said, okay, I'll have a listen, and I ended up getting four of the programs from MindTrainer Pro, and I said to the creator, I said, I'm very impulsive, and I like to I'll can I binge consume your content? And he's like, well, I would recommend you don't do that. Long story short, I listened to all four of the recordings that night. I couldn't turn my brain off. I was awake until like 4 a.m. He warned me that it would keep me up if I did it. And I was instantly hooked to the technology. The way that it activates your brain and releases the epinephrine, the dopamine, the serotonin naturally was something that I had never experienced. And I never knew that just through the power of sounds and frequencies and tones, you could actually stimulate your brain like that. So that was in a nutshell, long story short, is how I got introduced to Mind Trainer Pro. And since the time, it's been about 9 months now since I was, well, I guess longer than that, about 11 months now since I started actually using the product. And now, I use it every day. It's a very intuitive type product. The more you use it, you just kind of select what you feel like. You shared a story with me this morning about selecting a recording to get prepared for the day, and it made a difference, right? And yeah, it's been a very interesting journey.
Wow, that's amazing. So this isn't really your typical meditation, right? All you need is a pair of headsets or
Bone conductors.
phone conductor, and you sit back, relax. And in my experience with meditation, it's more active where the mind starts coming in, and then I gently put the mind aside, all the thoughts that are racing. And with this, I don't feel that. It's very non-invasive.
Yeah, it's interesting because for myself, especially, meditation for me, it took me a long time to actually get to the point where my meditation was effective, because I've talked to a lot of people that share the same experience, where they start meditating, and our brain goes in a million different directions, and we can't fully get the impact of what the meditation should be, right? I tried for months and months and months, and I actually got coaching for it to so I could meditate properly. And when you could dial that in, I mean, it's amazing, but it's a challenge for many. And even after all that I've done, it's still like, I still find if I do a traditional meditation, I'll my mind will wander, and I'll be thinking about things that I really shouldn't be thinking about while I'm meditating. I'm still relaxed, but with Mind Trainer Pro, it literally, it's like it puts you into that meditative trance just almost like you can't not go to that spot and just relax, which is really interesting. And for me, it's about the 6 or 7 minute mark of all of our recordings.
Mm.
And I basically like I go into a meditative trance. At first I thought I was sleeping, but as soon as the recordings are off, I'm back and back into to feeling amazing and conscious, really, right? So it's interesting how it really sets you into that state so your brain can get the impact of that meditation.
Mm. And our creator talks about the science behind it because it goes into the right ear and goes to the left brain and then the left ear to the right brain. And it's very fascinating the way our brain works and how we can change the neural pathways very quickly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you also talked about recordings. We're going to talk about one specific, but there's an array of recordings at a very accessible and affordable option now with MindTrainer Pro because your intention, and by the way, I want to say thank you for reaching out to me last spring, even before the company launched. And you said, Heidi, I imagine that this might be something you'd be curious or interested in. And
Yeah.
wow, it was so cool that this is an option to either add to what you're already doing for your wellness, whether you're taking products or whether you're an athlete or
Yep.
even with peak performance for business, for all sales, confidence, public speaking, golf, pickleball. There's so many different options that my
Yeah.
trainer offers, and there's more coming. We're, in the process of launching and getting this out to the world now. We're going to talk today about lean mind method, which is one that has helped me, and I know it's been significant for you. So, talk
Yeah.
about the recordings, how often you listen to them, and specifically your experience with what you came to Trainer with for physical, mental, emotional weight issues, and then how it's helped you. Like I can see your
Yeah.
face.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like you nailed it right there. Like it's the perfect uh like add-on or support for what we're already doing, right? Because it gives us the unfair advantage, which as you mentioned, how it stimulates your brain, and I'm not the scientist. We need Maury to dive into the science behind this, but it literally rewires your thought patterns. So we've got like Maury has created specific programs for, like you said, for pickleball, for common clarity, for athletics, for public speaking, self mastery, and I cycle through a handful of different recordings. I've got my go-to 10 recordings that I'll listen to, and I listen to them every single day. And it's very intuitive for how I'm feeling that day. If I have a sales call, then I'm going to listen to a sales one. If it's just I just want to level up my energy, then I'll listen to the quantum processing or the energy elevation. I like to challenge people to watch our visual stimulation ones and watch our happiness one and not smile, because I believe it's physically impossible, so I cycle through, but one of the ones that's had the most impact for myself and you and many others already is that lean mind method. So I had my goal when I started implementing MindTrainer Pro was to just get more clarity, get more focus, more creativity, right? Show up more confident in my business and public speaking. And then along came the lean mind method. And I started listening to that. I was like, because I had such great results in other areas of my life. I was like, let's give this a try. And I'd been on a weight loss journey slash yo-yo now for about 10 years, where I would do one of these crazy diets or challenges or whatever, and I would lose the weight and then I would put it back on and usually put on a few extra pounds on top of what I had lost. And what I had found is like it boiled down to a lot of the things were unsustainable, what I was doing, but also it crept back to old habits that always found their way back into my daily mode of operations. Mine, for me, it was salt, like potato chips, right? They were my kryptonite. If there was a bag of potato chips in my house, I was going to find the bottom of it. And that. That's just where it was going to be. And um every time I would go through this weight loss journey, I would either do the diet or exercise excessively to the point where, like, it's again unsustainable, right? Oh yeah, I'm gonna work out 5 days a week, an hour a day, and do this and that. And I'm busy. I know, like, I can make the time for it, but it's not always sustainable for me. And I would lose the weight, and I'd be like, oh, I can have just a handful of chips. That's okay. That handful would then happen the next day and the next day and the next day. And then I would be back into my old habit, and I'd be looking down and be like, ah, damn it. back to where I was. So I started listening to the Lean Mind Method, and it has a recording that's specific to making healthy eating decisions. And I've now been using that for coming up on 3 months, and I'm down. I don't have a scale with me anymore. I haven't been on a scale. Last time I was on a scale, I was down 19 pounds, and I couldn't physically see the changes yet in myself. And it's now been 6 weeks since I've been on a scale, and I'm now physically, like, visually seeing the changes. So I'm excited to get on a scale. I'll find one. I'm out on the lake, kind of in the middle of nowhere, but I'll find a scale to get on shortly. But even like my son noticed, my daughter noticed. They're like, "Oh wow, your roundness is going away." Um, so yeah, it's exciting. And now, I made a post on social media a couple weeks ago about how we had gone shopping it had been 3 weeks, and there's a bag of chips that I hadn't touched. And that, to me, is a miracle, because typically I would have crushed that bag of chips at some point in time. And now I'll actually go, and that bag is still in the cupboard, and I'll go and I'll test myself. And I don't even I I don't even want them anymore. It's completely changed my thought patterns around my eating decisions, because when I look at the chips, I'm like, well, I think about, like, that's not a healthy eating decision. It's wild, and it's all because I've just been listening to this one recording. And the Lean Mind Method is a very, like, there's multiple different recordings inside of there, but again, it's been very intuitive for me to what works best. And
Mm.
yeah, it's
Wow.
exciting.
You
And
said
it's
wild. I love that because my name's Wild and everything's
there you go.
so
Love it.
it sounds like your habits have changed, and that's the whole point here, right? And what I find is it's a ripple effect. I'm making really good decisions for what
Yep.
I'm putting in my body, and I'm also doing other things, like there's one within Lean Mind about moving, about sleeping and hydration, and all of the things that I'm thinking about now to be healthy and
Yep.
nourish this vessel that we've been given. And,
Yep.
I shared with you this morning, I got on the scale and now I'm down 8.5 pounds since June 9th. I have an app that you can stand against the wall and measure. And it's not just about the pounds, it's about all the
Yep.
BMI and the inches and how I
Yep.
feel. And it all ripples, right? Because I have
Yep.
more energy, I'm sleeping better. And when you
It
said
really,
that,
it impacts every aspect of our lives. It's amazing and you don't think about it. Like, when I started MindTrainer Pro, I never ever imagined how far reaching it could be in, like, literally every corner of my life. And just from simply listening for, up to maximum an hour a day. Usually it's, 20 26 minutes. Some of the recordings a little slower, but I kick my day off when I'm usually having a quiet time anyway with the recording. And yeah, it's wild. It's the unfair advantage. It really is, to whatever people are doing in their lives. I believe it's like that, the gasoline for the fire, if you will, that can take what you've been doing, and no matter where you're at, if you're a top performer, or if you're just, like, really cutting your teeth and trying to get something started, it gives you that advantage that people just are unaware of, that's out there.
I completely agree. I'm going to go back to your 19 pounds, and that's just about 4 bags of 5-pound bag of potatoes. So go to the grocery store, grab a 5-pound bag of potato, then 2, then 3, then 4, and carry that around. And isn't that significant when you think about that?
When you think about it that way, yeah, yeah, I like that.
One of the things too you just said was about getting things done. And when I first started Mind Trainer, I had a big procrastination. I had piles in my house that I wanted to go through, papers, I wanted to clean
Yep.
closets. And for whatever reason, and it's all about intention too, right? So and Maury teaches us this, that you set an intention and you put the earphones on and then you let your brain transform. You let the transformation happen.
Yep.
And I bombed through the tasks that I had been procrastinating. And that was my first aha moment with this. It's like, wow.
And
And
I've heard that so often. It's like that was for me too. I remember like getting the honey-do list smashed through that had been neglected for forever, right? And um, I mentioned it, and then Shannon, you know, familiar with her, she says, "Oh, I give Tommy digital coffee," and he did like everything he had to get done, and in like in half the time, you
isn't that
know, it's
fun? Oh my gosh.
it's
And it's so simple. So Mike, if someone's listening and you were to tell people who's skeptical or feeling stuck in their old habits, what would you say about giving Mind Trainer Pro a try?
just go into it with an open mind, and you have to experience it. We can talk about it and all day long about how powerful it is, but until you truly experience the sensation and the stimulation that it gives your brain, it's hard to explain. It truly is. You go into it with an open mind that, I'm going to give this a try. I have the intention of it making a difference in my life, and just literally sit back and relax. You'll feel the power. Like, it's something that you truly just have to give yourself the gift of trying. And I was skeptical. I brushed it off for months and months. And I think about, holy Dinah, if I had that the 8 months I didn't, I would be 8 months further ahead than I am now.
Right.
And you're right. So
Wow.
it's so simple. It's such an easy thing to add to your daily mode of operation. It's affordable. I mean, it's literally pennies a day. If you get the all access, it gets more and more affordable all the time because you keep getting more and more recordings for no extra charge. So yeah, it's something that you just you owe it to yourself. If you're in any sort of personal development, if you're in any sort of business, if you want to level up literally any aspect of your life, this is the unfair advantage to doing that. Truly
Wow.
is.
Well, if you're interested, you're listening to this and you want to check it out, there's a website that you can go to. It's getmindtrainer.com. GET mindtrainer.com. Get it? And there's several different options. You can come in. You can start as low as $14.97 a month. That's less than 50 cents a day. You get a system, and within the system is multiple recordings. And then you can also get a bundle, or you can get an all access, like Mike was talking about, for $97 a month. That's $3 a day. You have complete access to everything. And it really is mind blowing. So I would suggest you give it a shot, give it a try, get mindtrainer.com. And Mike, thank you so much for your time today, for sharing
My
your
pleasure.
experience, and for leading this mission with the rest of your team to get this out to the world in such an accessible, affordable, and easy, simple, non-invasive way to make changes.
Yeah, it's our pleasure, and thank you for having us, because the more people we can get this in the hands of, the better, because it's powerful, and it's going to change people's lives, and we appreciate people like you bringing it to the people. So
Well,
thank you very
before
much.
I end, I will add that this is an affiliate, and this is an option that if you jump into this and you love it, you're going to share it, because we do that as humans. We want to share what we love. And it's an affiliate program, so you can get paid a couple levels deep to share this amazing meditation, advanced binaural beats, meditation on steroids platform. And
We like to say get paid to train your brain.
yeah, you can add this as an income stream, and it's so awesome. So, all right. Well, with that, thank you so much, and
Thank you, Heidi.
see you on the other side.